I don't know why this exists. Had I not known that there were other unauthorized stories, I know there's a Saved by the Bell one, I would have really questioned the point in this one. But I can see that this unauthorized series is just a production company gaining views and attention off of the back of successful sitcoms and TV shows. There's also apparently one for Beverly Hills 90210. I haven't seen the other two, but I have, of course, seen the Full House Story, and it's the biggest cringe I have ever seen. There are a few things about it that I thought were fun, and there are some good casting choices, and I will talk about those and I will praise those where it is deserved. But this just feels untrustworthy, and not that I'm saying the entire thing comprises lies, but I don't trust it. I have no reason to believe that the anecdotes they are presenting in this narrative are true. And there are some things in this that I knew to be wrong or exaggerated or underplayed, so I don't trust anything they tell me, which is a shame because I've watched a few people's reviews of this and read a few people's thoughts after watching it, and while opinions were very divided, some people thought this was awful, some people really enjoyed it, and then there were those who just found it fascinating with some of the things that were revealed in this. But you can't trust it. You cannot trust that what this says is true. I guess I should tell you what this is about. This is about an hour and a half in length, and it's basically a fake version of a behind the scenes of Full House. I'm a huge, huge Full House fan, and Fuller House, of course. And it's part behind the scenes of filming the episodes. We have actors playing the characters, which is pretty interesting. And then we have kind of following their lives around when they're not filming, primarily the guys, so Dave Coulier, Bob Saget, and John Stamos. And there are some kind of maybe scandalous things or outrageous things revealed, and I'm not saying they're not true, but I'm saying you can't just look at this and believe it, and that's all I'm really going to say on that, because I have no reason to believe that anything this says is true. I have reason to believe that certain things to say are not true, and they miss out some really key facts that kind of go in the opposite direction of a more negative, scandalous message they're trying to give. So it's very one-sided, it's very unbalanced, and I'd only recommend you watch it, if I recommend it at all, because I really don't know. But I'd only recommend you watch it if you are prepared to accept that you cannot believe everything that is being fictionalized in this unauthorized Full House story. All of it, all of the aspects of this that were filmed outside of the TV studio, I could not care less for. So when we're following the personal lives of the fictitious Dave Coulier, the Bob Saget, and the John Stamos characters, boring as anything. And I guess that's because I have no trust. I have no trust in what they're saying. I don't believe what they're saying, or I have no reason to. I just don't think it's a very good representation. But I did actually kind of enjoy, or I guess found fascinating, the scenes where they were pretending to film episodes. So they have a mock-up of the house backwards. The house is backwards in the mock-up, which is a weird choice, unless they flipped the image in post. I don't know why they would do that. And there's a really cute scene where one of the girls pretending to be Mary Kate or Ashley is being, her lines are being whispered to her, and she copies them and she says, "You got it, dude." And it's kind of like if the casting had been different, or if Full House had been cast today, well, in 2015, what would they perhaps look like? What were the alternatives? And that, I think, is interesting, because I always find it interesting when we see actors playing characters we love. For example, just look at the unaired pilot. Bob Saget is not in that, but Danny Tanner still is, and I think that's really interesting to watch. And if you squint, when they're doing distance shots, you can kind of pretend it's the actual actors and you're watching actual behind-the-scenes footage. When they have table reads, when they announce that they're being cancelled after 8 seasons, that's interesting, because to me that's just a fictionalized version of filming in Hollywood. But the whole personal lives aspect does not work for me. The casting, there are only two and a half cast members that I thought looked the part, performed the part, were genuinely believable. The first one is young Jodie Sweetin. She is played by Dakota Guppy, and I thought she was amazing. I thought she truly embodied the Stephanie as portrayed by Jodie Sweetin. I thought she was fantastic. And the other one is the older Kimmy Gibbler, or the older Andrea Barber, played by James Schneider. I thought she definitely had the right facial expressions, the right intonations that we could expect from Kimmy. When she was playing Kimmy, I thought she was absolutely brilliant. I will say, though, that they haven't got the casting ages right. It takes us through the show by seasons. It starts, of course, with season 1. Mary-Kate and Ashley were 6 months old in season 1. The twins they have for this first bit are, I don't know, maybe 2 years old. And by the last season, the twins look about, gosh, I'm not even sure how old they look, but they look a lot older than Mary-Kate and Ashley did. The same with older Candace Cameron. She's played brilliantly by Brittney Wilson. Actually, younger Candace Cameron is fantastic as well. She's played by Shelby Armstrong. Doesn't look like her, but I thought her performance was really great. But older Candace Cameron looks far too old. So visually, didn't really do much of an effort there. Justin Gaston as John Stamos, pretty decent. I will say the hair is what makes it. And there are certain times when you look at them from certain angles and think, actually, that you can see the look-alike. And then when they start moving and talking, it's no. So you have to suspend disbelief a little bit, but it's interesting to see this alternative casting. Why they decided to go on and show Candace Cameron's wedding, I'm not really sure. I was a bit nervous because they showed the fictitious Jodie Sweetin at Candace Cameron's wedding, and obviously one of the main anecdotes is that 14-year-old Sweetin was drunk off of her face at that wedding. And I was thinking, are they going to go into this? No, they didn't. And I'm kind of glad of that. But at the same time, it just proves that there's a lot they missed out on. Kimmy Gibbler's prom dress. What are you doing? You know, there are a lot of things that they just didn't bother to touch on, or maybe it got edited out of the final cut. There are a lot of things that they clearly chose to focus on being one-sided. And I just think that if you're a fan of the show, it's fun to watch for some reasons, but you have to not take it seriously. If you're a casual watcher of the show, I'd strongly suggest you do not watch this, because it might give you a negative attitude about the show, because it doesn't necessarily paint it in the best light some of the time. And if you don't care about the show, by all means, watch it or not watch it. It will not affect your opinion at all. So I'd recommend it if you're a diehard fan of the show, and just have a good laugh at it, because it's an embarrassment. It is a joke. As I said, this is clearly... I'm just surprised it aired on Lifetime. Why would they air an unauthorized version? I really don't know how this ever got commissioned for broadcast. I genuinely don't. I guess just the fact that people like me would watch it out of curiosity. But it is a joke. It's clearly been made to make money off of the back of a successful TV show, as is the case with the Saved by the Bell one and the 90210 neither of which... there's also a Melrose Place one, which I'm not familiar with Melrose Place, so I don't know what they're like. But as a big Full House fan, I can say that this was interesting to laugh at, but it's disturbing how negative or pessimistic it comes across as, and it definitely does more harm than good for a casual viewer. It's cringy, it's embarrassing, there are a lot of bad decisions made, a couple of good decisions in terms of casting. The set design, although backwards, is actually pretty impressive. I still don't understand why it exists. I don't think it should exist. But if you do love Full House, watch it for a laugh, but please do not take it or anything it says seriously.